efficient and effective management justice system. Mr. Speaker, I commend this bill to the House. Thank you.
Dr. Kennedy Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't wish to take up very much time of the House, primarily because I tend to agree with the points that have been made earlier about the undesirability of producing these kinds of bills as members' bills. There's no point in rehearsing the history of Habeas Corpus that we've been treated to a few times already, so I think we're all pretty much boned up on the Latin and the history. But suffice to say, as my colleague Dave Clinton did earlier, that the Green Party will support the bill because the bill is inherently a valid one and should be passed through. But let us pass it through as fast as we can so that we don't unduly waste the time on Members' Day. After all, fides servanda est. Fides servanda est. Faith must be kept. And faith must be kept with the principle of the original purpose of members' bills, which is that it offers members of Parliament on all sides of the House the opportunity to develop and advance in legislative form their personal vision of what needs to be written into the New Zealand legislation. Personal vision. And I just can't thank Chris Alconvol enough for the blood, sweat and tears that he must have shed long into the night, burning the midnight oil, drafting this bill in the pristine way. I mean, here's the bill, Mr. Speaker, here is the bill. And I read through this bill I'm tempted to, because I think it is the height of legislative artistry. And we have it here, and then I look and I chanced across, Mr. Speaker, a document here, and I open it up. Lo, there is telepathy going on here, because here is a bill. And I can tell you now, and I don't know whether this comes as a surprise to our colleague, it is word for word. We could substitute it and call it the Jeff Palmer bill. But I think in deference to the effort and the initiative, because I think it was Tim McIndoe that commended Mr. Alconvol for his initiative, and I think it was Mr. Bridges who commended him for his exceptionally passionate approach to this bill, I think that we should all pay a tribute to our colleague here for the sacrifice he has made in bringing this bill through on Members' Day. Sir, I commend you. I commend you to the House. Now, for example, could I ask Mr. Alconvol whether there's going to be any word that he might conceivably alter in this bill as it wends its tortuous passage through the committee? Indeed, I think that is quite clear, because for example, let me make a suggestion, just for the sake of generating some enthusiasm for this bill as it goes through the committee. Section 9 that's going to be amended urgency, there's a new subclause 4. A judge may not make any order under subsection 3 without giving the parties to the proceeding an opportunity to be heard. Can I suggest that, in deference to what we heard from Mr. Andrew Little, our colleague, we could say, without giving the parties, human or bovine, the proceeding, an opportunity to be heard. Is there going to be any word that will be changed in this respect? Ecce homo, ecce bovum. Well, I leave it to Mr. Alconvol to give thought with his colleagues. They're learned gentlemen there, Mr. McIndoe, Mr. Hutchison, Mr. Williamson. He can discuss it and decide whether there is any change at all, and he will no doubt have the support of this House. Whether it's cows, yes? No, and I know that the experience that Mr. Williamson has had in his longevity in this House, he will be able to advise Mr. Alconvol whether there is any scope for improving this bill whatsoever. because I have to tell you, in full admiration, I cannot find it. Thank you.
Mr. Okenval, in reply.